Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode with Ralph. Hope you find your lovely IELTS candidates. And today we are going to work on a very important lesson, and it's about avoiding repeating words. So this is the problem that I've seen most IELTS candidates have when they want to write in Task 2. And the problem that they face most of the time is that they repeat the words and they do not know how to, let's say, tackle this problem. So today we'll work on some strategies in which you can avoid repeating words in writing your Task 2 essay. Well, there are some rules that you can follow. For example, you can use subject, object pronouns, and possessive adjectives to avoid repetition. You can use relative pronouns. You can use, let's say, other pronouns to avoid repetition. You can change the grammar and you can change the vocabulary. These are some strategies that you can follow, and then you will get a very good mark. Believe me, this is very important. And if you avoid repetition of words, you can show the IELTS examiner that you have a wide range of vocabulary. So this is related to lexical resources, right? And avoiding repetition of words allows you to use words in different forms and apply different grammatical structures. So this shows the IELTS examiner that you can use grammar flexibly, right? And you will make your writing more cohesive if you avoid repetition of words. So your ideas and words will seem well connected. This is what we call coherence and cohesion. And because your writing style will be much better if you avoid repetition of words, you will have a more formal and academic style. So that is task achievement or task response. Now let's just start by working on sample question in IELTS Task 2. Let's take a look at our question here. There is a huge gap between rich people and poor people in the world. This is the most serious problem facing humanity into 21st century. What is your opinion of this statement? So, first of all, I want to write a paragraph, right? A sample introduction paragraph, and I'm going to use repetitive words. There are a lot of words that are repeated in this paragraph. Then I'm going to change each of these words using the strategies I told you before, right? Now, this is our sample introduction. Rich people are getting richer and richer. At the same time, poor people are getting poorer and poorer. The governments in rich countries have got enough money for schools, hospitals, and roads. The governments in poor countries have not got enough money for schools, hospitals, and roads. I strongly believe that this is the most serious problem facing humanity at the moment, and that people in rich countries should help people in poor countries. So, as you can see, this is a very simple, let's say, introduction. Very simple. A lot of words are repeated here: rich people, poor people, the governments, right? So, now let's start from the first word that we had here. As you can see, the first sentence is rich people are getting richer and richer. So instead of rich people, that's better if we can use relative pronouns. So instead of rich people, we can say those who already possess significant wealth. So those who already possess significant wealth instead of rich people. So you can see that using relative pronouns can definitely change the word. And in this case, you will avoid repeating the words, right? And after that, are becoming. Instead of are getting, we should write are becoming. So instead of richer and richer, we should write synonym language. Are becoming increasingly well off. Well off means rich. Increasingly well off. So instead of richer and richer. This is the synonym language that we use. One of the strategies that you can avoid repeating the words is using synonym language. Now, at the same time, So this is okay if we write at the same time, and after at the same time we should put comma. Poor people. So instead of poor people, we can write individuals with fewer economic resources. Very good word, right? Individuals with fewer economic resources. So instead of poor people. Now, after that, we have are getting poorer and poorer. So we can write may find themselves in dire financial straits. May find themselves in dire financial straits. And after that, we have the governments. The governments in rich countries have got enough money for schools, hospitals, and roads. The governments. You know, the government is a word that we can use once, but after that, we can change it, all right? Now, we have the governments. Instead of in rich countries, we should write a synonym language in prosperous and successful areas. So, prosperous is a word that we can use as synonym for rich, prosperous and successful areas. So, instead of rich countries, we can write prosperous and successful areas. Have got enough money for schools, hospitals, and roads. So, instead of have got enough money, we can write have enough funds, right? Have enough funds to build schools, hospitals, and roads. Now, after that, the governments in poor countries have not got enough money for schools, hospitals, and roads, right? So, again, all the words are repeated here. All the words that we had in the previous sentence are repeated here. So, we should write from another point of view. We should write from using some synonym language. So, instead of the governments, we can write the authorities. So the governments was once used in our previous sentence. Now we can write the authorities. In poor countries, instead of in poor countries, we can write in less developed nations. In less developed nations. All right? The governments in poor countries, the authorities in less developed nations have not got enough money for schools, hospitals, and roads. Now we can write the authorities in less developed nations lack instead of have not got. Lack the capital. Instead of money, we can write capital to invest in health, education, and infrastructure. So instead of schools, hospitals, and roads, we can write other places or other institutions. For example, health, education, and infrastructure. All right? Now, the last sentence is our thesis statement in introduction. What we had in our introduction was that I strongly believe that this is the most serious problem facing humanity. I strongly believe, we can write it, that's okay. I strongly believe that this is the most serious problem facing humanity at the moment, and that people in rich countries should help people in poor countries. So we can write from this aspect. I strongly believe that members, instead of people, we can write members, of more affluent societies. Affluent societies means rich areas, rich countries, right? Affluent societies ought to provide support for those struggling to survive in other regions of our planet, right? This is a very good introduction. Not a word is repeated here in this paragraph. We've tried to use a wide range of vocabulary. Some strategies we have actually tried to use here, and using relative pronouns, changing the grammar, using some other pronouns. These are some ways that you can avoid repeating the words, right? Now let's take a look at each of these strategies, all right? The first one is subject, object pronouns, and possessive adjectives. For example, take a look at this sentence. Motorists are responsible for a great deal of unnecessary pollution. They They is a pronoun that is referred to motorists, all right? So instead of repeating the word motorist itself, I use pronoun here. They cause it, and this it refers to pollution. They cause it by driving when it would be possible for them to walk or use public transport. Their, and this is possessive adjective, their cars are often huge gas guzzling machines. So as you can see, this is one way of avoiding repeating the words. Now, let's take a look at another example in which we use subject, object, pronouns, and possessive adjectives. Experts believe that within a few years, the Arctic will be completely ice-free during summers, and that it will change radically. It will change radically. This is the pronouns that I use here. They say, this they refers to experts. So instead of repeating the word experts, I use pronouns. They say it will have huge consequences for humanity, and that we means we people, should take their warnings seriously. And there is possessive adjective which refers to experts, right? Now, let's take a look at another strategy, and that is relative pronouns, which is very, very important. This is a technique and a strategy that you can have in your task too, and in this case, you will avoid repeating words. So what do I mean by relative pronouns is, take a look at this example. Medical professionals, comma, who have spent their entire lives working to improve the quality of other people's lives, comma, should be greatly respected and financially rewarded. This who is relative pronouns which refers to medical professionals. So in this case, I'm avoiding repeating the words, all right? Let's take a look at another example. The main reason why undergraduates choose an arduous 6 years at medical school is that they genuinely want to make a difference to the lives of those who are less fortunate than themselves. So we have why and who as relative pronouns here, and this themselves as refers to what? Refers to those undergraduates, all right? So this is very important. I do not want to repeat the same word, so I use reflexive pronouns. Now let's take a look at another example. The dropout rate amongst medical students, which refers to dropout rate, all right, used to be incredibly low, has risen. The courses are more rigorous, which is obviously a positive development. So again, as you can see, I use relative pronouns in order not to repeat the same word. Another way that we can avoid repeating words is the same word with different grammar. The same word with different grammar. So what does it mean? Let's take a look at these two examples. This approach to education is clearly advantageous. So advantageous is the word that we have. So it's adjective. Now, what I'm going to do here is to use the same word, but in a different grammar, with a different grammar. So as we had adjective here as advantageous, now I'm going to use the noun. The advantages can be seen in terms of student grades and teacher satisfaction. So as you can see, it's pretty easy, right? So you just change different grammar. In this case, you avoid repeating the same word. Now let's turn to another example. Working from home is tremendously beneficial. Beneficial is adjective, right? One of the chief benefits, so I use noun here. I change the grammar, is that you are able to control your own working hours. You are able to. I'm going to change be able to. I'm going to change its grammar using different grammar. Having the ability, so I'm using noun here. Having the ability to do this makes life less stressful. Stressful is adjective. I'm going to use noun. Obviously, stress is a major cause of illness. And being ill, you can see illness, ill, noun, adjective. significantly affects a person's quality of life. Now let's take a look at another example as the same word and different grammar. It has been suggested that the world would be a safer and more contented place if international borders were eradicated. So I'm going to use different grammar for these four words here. It has been suggested, safer, contented, and eradicated. I'm going to change the grammar here. The suggestion that the eradication, so instead of eradicate as verb, I'm using noun here, that the eradication of frontiers would lead to greater safety. Instead of safer, I'm using safety, noun. And more contentment is, from my perspective, ridiculous. So instead of contented as adjective, I'm using contentment as noun. Let's take a look at another example. It is believed by many that having cosmetic surgery can make a person happier. So believe and happier, we're going to change the grammar. This belief, it is noun, that physical appearance relates to happiness is often challenged by experts. So instead of happier or happy as adjective, I'm using happiness as noun. All right, another technique that we can have is different word, using different word which has similar meaning, or let's say using synonym language. Now, one of the chief problems that the students mostly have is that they repeat the word people. There are a lot of ways that you can avoid repeating the word people or person. Right now, let's take a look at this example. Many people would like to see alterations in the laws on stalking. Now, instead of saying some people, we can write some individuals, right? Some individuals have protested that current legislation is not tough enough. Now, instead of again using people, we can write experts, all right? Some subcategories of people, some jobs, or related to different groups of people, right? You can use these words in order to avoid repeating the words. So experts have contacted the government in support of the change. Some scientists and academics. So instead of experts, I'm using scientists and academics. Believe that unless the law is rewritten, there will be more innocent victims of horrible criminals. So you can see I'm using different words, but they do really have the same meaning, right? Innocent victims, horrible criminals. Meanwhile, ordinary members of the public, and particularly those feeling most vulnerable, are naturally anxious about the situation. So ordinary members of the public is one of those words that I've used instead of people. And those feeling most vulnerable, again, I'm referring to a specific group of people. So as you can see, this technique is the way that you can change the word, right, by using groups of people, special groups of people, and relating to that group instead of repeating the word people, for example, or person, or students, or any, let's say, group of people which you have to repeat in your essay. So this is a practical way in which you can use in your essay. You can follow in your essay, and in this case, you can avoid repeating the same word. All right, that's all for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Enjoy your time, and next section we'll work on, again, task 2. So stay tuned. Until next time, goodbye.